This right here is ferment water from honey locust leaves and fish. So it probably can be called fish hydrolysate plus. I'm going to screen out all the big material now so it doesn't clog up my sprinkler can, and I'm going to strain it through this screen right here. Oh, does that look rich? I like these square buckets because it's got a corner that I can pour with. What I'm doing now is what's called getting ahead. And people are going to say, I'm not going to do that. Well, you don't have to do it. I'm not telling anybody to have to do it. Matter of fact, I hardly tell anybody to do it at all. I'm just doing it and showing it. If you're not doing it, and food gets in scarce supply, you're just going to have to stand in a soup line. No big deal. I see people standing there at the free cheese line all the time. They don't care, they think they're getting something for nothing, so they're happy. Hey, I know what I call it. Fortified fish hydrolysate. Hey, that works. I wonder how many people are watering their garden with fermented honey locust leaf water. Honey locust leaf fortified fish hydrolysate. If there's any reason for me to think that I'm special, that will be it. I haven't seen any mosquitoes yet, but that's another way I fertilize the garden. The mosquitoes lay their eggs in the water, and then the larvae start to get really active. And I pour the larvae out with the water in the garden. You gotta get the timing right, because if you wait too long, then you got mosquitoes all over. You know, when you see a bunch of them, if you see one coming up to the surface and looks like it's coming out, then you gotta pour it out. But you can figure it out before that happens. Get close to the bottom. So I'll leave a couple inches on the bottom of the sediment, and I'll add rainwater to it, and it'll be a little bit weaker version, but that'll be more water I can put in the garden. Now there's enough material in there that it's clogging up the screen. Yeah, you can see it. Get my shadow out. And fermenting is also a measure, in addition to what I'm doing with my aerobic compost. And fermenting also is a means to store energy. What's happening is the microbes that are fermenting the material actually eating it. They secrete enzymes, and if it's anaerobic, it's actually more towards, they're using sulfur oxide and nitrous oxide to break down the material so that it's small enough and it can be absorbed into their cell walls, and then that's their food that they're eating. And in the process, what they form is what's called triphosphates, and that is energy. That is food for soil life. And it can also convert the triphosphate into diphosphate, which is a long-term storage of that energy. So it's like inert until some soil that comes along and absorbs it, and then it'll add another type of phosphate, and then it'll convert back to triphosphate, and then they use it as energy. And soil life has a relationship with our plants in that it feeds the plants elements, all these various elements, in exchange for sugars. So those elements are in the soil, it's in this ferment, it's in the aerobic compost pile that I built and do every year. And now this is a means to store that energy. And when you ferment it like this, I mean, I don't know what the studies are, but when it's fermented like this in a barrel, I mean, it might last for years, just in the barrel, without even being in the soil. But then once it gets in the soil, then it's stored there until it's used. And it's also recyclable. It keeps recycling into the soil. To the plants, to the soil, to the plants, to the soil. Especially got a property like mine where most of it is all perennial. And you know, my isolated little pockets of annuals. The annuals I take off and eat, but all the perennials, all the food that it produces is surplus. I'm not taking and killing the plant to eat it. It's just surplus from the plant. And then in the process of the soil life being, you know, associations with the bacterias and the other microbes and the fungi, it's what's recirculating this energy around and around and around. And the perennials produce the surplus food. So that's all I'm going to take in that barrel, and I'm going to add rainwater again, I mentioned. I'll give you a close-up here. That's the screened out material. I'm going to put that on the worm bed. Mostly honey locust leaves, but I see there's some crab apples in there. And here's the barrel I took it out of. So I've got enough in there. So when I add rainwater, I'll have another batch of fertilized water to spread on the gardens. And this is from comfrey from yesterday, or the last flip. I took comfrey out. This is ferment water too that needs to be screened. This is comfrey, where this is fish hydrolysate fortified with honey locust leaves. This is a barrel that I had just a mixture of different forbs and herbs and whatnot, and I've already used 2 barrels through here already watering the gardens. There's a little bit of residue left, and here's the buckets. That's the bucket. That's the stuff after it's screened. You see my mess here, and someday I'm going to clean all this up and make it look good. But I almost got a half a barrel of screened fish hydrolysate fortified with honey locust leaves. You can't beat that. I don't think you can beat that. I don't think there's anything better. It's ready to go right now. And here's a plus on this hay. Rodents and woodchucks hate the smell of this stuff. Hate it. So how about that for a addition to the benefits? The permaculture thing. How many benefits can you get out of one action? I got a lot of exercise, and I'm going to be eating really healthy food. So that's 4 already. Got to be more. You think of some. All right, thanks for watching.